I want to welcome everyone to our live Wednesday night webinar. I'm going to start out first on our Synergy page, on our Facebook page for our Synergy family. If you've not been on here, I know that Joseph made a comment on one of the pictures, but we posted a couple things today up here. I've been working with David Munoz with the Hispanic community. I found a good picture for the Hispanic community that we branded the ProArch9 Plus, the nitric oxide therapy flyer. David's going to convert the information into Spanish, and once that's done, then I'll make sure that I post it not only up here on the Synergy Family Facebook page, but I'll also post it in the Synergy Family Library in the PDF section, so that if you have any contacts that their primary language is Spanish, you'll be able to use the 10 reasons to take ProArch9 Plus brochure, and that will be in Spanish. I also posted up here the new Essential Greens video. This will be posted, it's already in the Synergy library. I took the core greens down, put the Essential Greens up, and I've sent this information on to Bob Wishmeyer, who will also put it up in the Global Health Makeover website. But this video is now up and ready. This is the non-branded version of the video, so you don't need to worry about the back end having any attachment at all to me. And those are items that I put up today onto our Facebook page. So if you don't go on our Facebook page for our Synergy family, or if you haven't liked this page, make sure that you do so. I try and post every Monday through Friday. I don't really post on Saturday and Sundays, but usually on Monday through Fridays I try and post 1 to 3 different items up here on this, and use it as a way to communicate information to our Synergy family and people who are following us. Now, what I'd like to do tonight, one of our Synergy family team members, his name is Arnold Brod. Arnold had sent me some links. He sent these to me about 2 weeks ago, and I finally had a chance to read them and go through them, and it was an eye-opener for me, and I hope that this information will be helpful to you. We're going to be talking about the power of because and properly positioning information. Arnold has been doing YouTube videos for the last 2.5 months, and he's beginning to get a very large following. He's up close to 100 channel views on a daily basis, and I didn't check numbers this afternoon, but he's approaching 2,000 CV of volume on his Tracking Center 1, which means that he's earned almost $500 in elite rebates, and that's up from last month, and it's up significantly from July. July, his volume was 0. I'm going on memory right now. His volume in August was somewhere around 12 or 1,300 CV of volume, and now he's approaching 2,000 CV of volume, and his goal is to get up to 4,000 CV of volume on his Tracking Center 1, all through customers. And as he's learned some of these skills, like incorporating the word because, as well as in positioning pricing information, it's really helped him gain additional sales. And that's one of the things that we want to talk about tonight, is how to use the word because, and how powerful that can be when you use it properly. And then also how Arnold is positioning information. Now, I sent out in the newsletter today the links to an article, and a link to an article and a link to a video. Now, the first link that I have up here is to the article. It came from Inc. magazine. The article was by Allison Davis, and I just want to read part of this, so in case someone on the call tonight hasn't seen this information or didn't take the time to click on the link and read the information, I want you to understand the context of it and then show you how Arnold is beginning to incorporate this into what he's doing. So I copied this from the article. It's not the full article, it's just a section of it, but it says the structure of the sentence, quote, "take this because of that," end of quote, induces an innate and automatic response in humans. This response was beautifully demonstrated in a 1978 study by Harvard social psychologist Ellen Langer. Langer set out to determine, quote, under what conditions people would allow her to cut into a long line at a copy machine, end of quote. When she used the sentence, excuse me, I have 5 pages. May I use the Xerox machine because I'm in a rush? 94% of people would let her go ahead of them in line. But even when Langer used the sentence, excuse me, I wonder if I could ask you a favor. May I skip ahead of you in line because I have to make some copies? People allowed her to skip the line. Kunkel explained why. Even when the reason is bogus, the trigger word because elicits an automatic and innate response to grant the favor. The response mechanism to this trigger is so ingrained that even a silly reason gets a positive response. For the furniture salespeople, and again, that's what the context of this is, Allison, when she first started this article, was talking about a furniture store that their salespeople were having 0 sales. But once they learned this process of using because in the right way, they increased their sales substantially. So coming back to the article, for the furniture salespeople, using because made their pitches much more successful. Simple phrases such as, you'd really like this couch because it's made of Italian leather, or this glass table would look great in your home because the design will go with any decor, resulted in a 39% increase in sales in just the first 2 weeks. They were used regularly with customers. Because works because, as Kunkel illustrates, quote, trigger words are part of what I call the instant appeal response, positive, predictable actions that people take in response to a specific trigger, end of quote. Now, as we go through tonight's conversation, feel free to interrupt me if you have questions, because that's the only way that I'll know what's going on in your mind. And the other thing is, I want to begin to apply this with objections or questions that you might get as you're talking to people about ProArginine Plus. So one of the things that I did today is I went through some common questions that I get, and I'm learning how to use this word because, and I'm not completely skilled at it at this point in time, but I used it with a person today on the phone, and it worked really well. And again, as I get experience, this is what I call improving your N factor, improving your skill level, because as you improve your skill level, you're going to increase your probability of having success. So as I learn how to incorporate the word because in the right way, I'm looking to see the results that it's going to have for me in increasing my sales. So one of the questions that I commonly get is, why should I buy your product? So this is what I wrote in the response, and again, I still need to continue to work on this. And as I write responses, one of the things that I always do, and this will be another repeat for me when I read this to you out loud, is I always read my response. I write out my response or type it out on my laptop, and then I always read it out loud, because if it doesn't sound right out loud, then it's not going to be right. So you've got to make sure that it's conversational and it's your voice, your cadence. So here's what I wrote. Great question. You should buy ProArginine Plus because of 3 reasons no one else can duplicate. First, it's the only clinically proven product. Second, it's the only L-arginine supplement listed in the physician's desk reference, which doctors use for guidelines on what they recommend to their patients. And third, there's 262 quality assurance steps to make sure you get exactly what you need to help you address your cardiovascular concerns. So that's the response. Now, I'll most likely, because most of the people that I talk to over the telephone, I'll most likely make a cheat sheet to have that in front of me so that I can practice these responses, so that when I get a person who asks me, because I've had this, it doesn't happen every time, but I do have it happen often enough where people ask me why my product as opposed to someone else's product, or why. I had a person today, before I had this response, actually ask me, well, can't I just go to the health food store and duplicate this? And so I really need to write a response to that, and I need to have it a response in front of me so that I can practice this concept of because. Great question. You should buy Progeny Plus because. So if a person asks me, well, can't I just duplicate this at a health food store? I'm going off the top of my head right now, but I'd most likely say something to the effect, well, you could certainly try that. I actually tried that, but because I found that I had to buy 10 different products and take 20 different capsules, and that the cost was actually more than Progeny Plus, I figured it's just a whole lot easier to take one scoop of Progeny Plus and get better results and be more cost effective. Now that was a rough go. I really would need to write that out on a piece of paper, read it out loud a couple times, see how it sounded so that I could make sure that it would flow properly. But that's this whole process of learning how to use because. It's like many people have been on my webinars where I talk about the art of asking questions. I don't need to have that information in front of me anymore. I've done it so often that I don't need to have any prompts on how to properly ask questions. Now, let's take this next one. Why should I buy from you rather than Amazon? David Munoz, I don't know if he's on tonight, but David Munoz did a great video with regards to why someone shouldn't buy from Amazon and should buy from a Synergy distributor. So I kind of took his 2-minute video and I've condensed it down into a 3-sentence, is that 3-sentence here? Yeah, I think so. 3-sentence statement that basically captures everything that he said in that 2-minute video and uses the word because. So here's my answer to that. Why should I buy from you rather than Amazon? Well, you certainly can take the risk of buying on Amazon, but I'd recommend buying from me because I'll always be there to pick up the phone when you have a question. Plus, the product you get from me will not be expired or tampered with, and my prices are competitive with Amazon. So that's the way that I would now respond when a person gives me that question. And again, I'll take this cheat sheet that I have and I'll copy it off on the copier and I'll have it in front of me so that, again, I can hone my skills in answering that type of question. Well, you certainly can take the risk. You know, I purposely put that word, the risk, in there, that phrase. Well, you certainly can take the risk of buying on Amazon, but I'd recommend buying from me because I'll always be there to pick up the phone when you have a question. Now, thanks, David, for typing in. I use that. You know, that's one of the things that David talks in that 2-minute video. Now, before I did this answer using because, I've used that with another person who called me with regards to why me as opposed to Amazon. And I shared with them, I said, well, you can certainly buy from Amazon, but I can guarantee you that you'll never talk to anyone, that if you have a problem with the product or if you have any questions about the product, you're not going to get anyone that's going to help you. Whereas if you buy from me, all you need to, I'll always be there to answer your questions, just like I've spent 15 minutes with you already on the telephone answering your questions. I'll be there, whereas you won't have that with Amazon. And that was a technique that I picked up from watching David's video. Now what I've done is I've incorporated that into a because statement and condensed his whole 2 minutes down into 3 sentences. I had a person who called me today, and we were talking, and she gets a question, and I've occasionally gotten this question, but she feels that she indicated that she gets this question a lot. Is this FDA approved? And so usually you might get that from a doctor, or you might get it from a person, maybe an older adult who's more used to taking medications. And so here's the response. No, this is not FDA approved because this is a nutritional supplement, not a drug. I think the real question you're asking is this product recognized by the medical community? And I'm happy to say that it is because it's been listed in the physician's desk reference for the last 3 years. So there I used 2 because statements. And again, I'll have to try this one out next time someone asks me this. But again, I'll have this in front of me to make it easier for me to have my cheat sheet. Now, any questions from anyone so far with regards to this word because and maybe you have some questions that you've been asked and you're not quite sure how you could best answer them using the word because. So any questions or any comments from anyone before we move into price positioning?
Dan, this is Dave. Thank you for those really great nuggets you're giving us regarding how to answer the FDA question and how to use the word because in bullet points. As you've said, you've written it down and you're going to rehearse it. Great nuggets of information. I appreciate that. So just waiting for more.
Well, great. I'm glad that was helpful, David. Appreciate the comments. Anyone else have any comments before we move on to positioning pricing information? All right. So the other link that I sent you was to a video. It took a little, I don't know if it was the same for you as it was for me, but when I went to this link, the video took almost a minute before it loaded, and I could watch it. But I was patient. I waited, and what that video is, in case you didn't watch it, the video is about 2.5 minutes long, and what they did is they did a test at a movie theater selling popcorn. In the first test, they offered just two options, $3 for a small or $7 for a large bucket of popcorn. And every person bought the small. Now, the next thing that they did in the experiment is they didn't change the pricing of small or large. What they did is they added a medium option at $6.50. And when they did that, at least everyone that they showed in the video all bought the large. No one bought small. And most people, if they didn't buy the large immediately, they bought the medium, and then the person behind the counter said, well, you know, for 50 cents more, you can get a large. And every person that they did that to ended up with the large. And the whole point of what they were trying to share is that when you group prices together, you can upsell by having a medium price in there that's very close to the price of the large or whatever your upsell is, and you'll be able to position that information much more effectively. So that's one of the things that Arnold has done, because he has people calling him wanting to buy ProArch9 Plus, and what he's done is he's placed this into three options. He calls his first one the starter or introductory pack, the second one is the intermediate pack, and the third one is the value pack. And so these aren't Arnold's exact words, but I listened to Arnold talk this morning, and then I basically took what he said to me and I kind of wrote this into my own presentation, again using the word because and doing pricing information. A couple things that Arnold shared with me. He tries to limit the amount of numbers that he uses because he finds from his experience, especially when he was a sales manager over a large sales force, that most people get overwhelmed by numbers. And so even he doesn't even use a 120-day money-back guarantee. He uses a 4-month money-back guarantee because most people can't compute 120 days being 4 months, whereas they can easily understand 4 months. Okay, yeah, that's 4. Okay, that's a long period of time, as opposed to 120. How many months is that? So what he tries to do is he tries to limit the number of the amount of numbers that he gives to people, and then he doesn't really give any numbers when he's sharing his different options. So this is the kind of technique that Arnold uses. And when I look at his numbers, he certainly has increased his sales from definitely from July to August. And then he's seen another increase from August to September as he's honing this process and honing his skills. So a person would say to him, well, so how do I get this product? Well, you can get this product. You can start out with what we call our starter or introductory packet. It's 30 servings. It's one 30-serving canister, and some people choose the starter pack because they only want to take 1 serving per day and hope it helps them solve their health issue. But let's be realistic. You didn't get where you're at overnight, and you're not going to get and you're not going to correct it overnight. Which brings me to your second option, our immediate or intermediate pack. This is 4 canisters, and many of my clients choose this option because they understand that they need to take 2 scoops per day, 1 in the morning and 1 at night. This option will last them for 2 months, and because the majority of my clients see positive improvements, they continue with the product. Which brings me to your third option, our value pack. This is a large container that is equal to 6 canisters, plus an additional box of 30 single-serve sticks. If you're using 2 servings per day, then this will last you for 3.5 months, and it gives you the greatest value per serving. So when he gets to this aspect of, well, how much does it cost? Well, our starter pack is $70 plus tax and shipping. But most of my clients choose the intermediate or value pack because of the price. The intermediate pack is $200 and gives them 4 times the product. A lot of my clients also go with the value pack because for $40 more, they get 90 additional servings. So which one works best for you? The greatest cost per serving or the most economical price per serving? And he leaves it with a question. And he waits for a response. And the response tells him where he's going to go with that individual. Now, can you see how he has positioned 3 options? He adds value to each option, and he uses a because statement in each of his options. Let's go back up to the starter. Because they only want to take 1 serving per day, and hope it helps. See, that hope it helps them solve their health issue places, doubt, because he comes back with this, but let's be realistic. You didn't get where you are overnight, and you're not going to correct it overnight. So he then takes them into the second option, our intermediate pack. This is 4 canisters, and many of my clients choose this option because, again, you want to get into this process of emphasizing certain words as you go through this because they understand the need, emphasize the need to take 2 scoops per day, 1 in the morning and 1 at night. This option will last them for 2 months. And because the majority of my clients see positive improvements, they continue with the product. Adding that aspect, because the majority of my clients see positive improvements, that's validation. You don't necessarily have to give a testimonial. You're telling them that your clients have seen improvements. And then they continue with the product. A person continues with the product because they're getting results, which then brings me to your third option, our value pack. This is a large container that's equal to 6 canisters, plus an additional box of 30 plus an additional box of 30 single-serve sticks. Now, if you're using 2 servings per day, then this will last you for 3.5 months. Well, that's a pretty long time, and it gives you the greatest value per serving. So you're establishing that greatest value per serving on your value pack. And that way, when you come to pricing information, what does he do? He talks about the starter pack at $70 plus tax and shipping. So he doesn't talk about tax and shipping on the other ones. It's implied. He just talks about it on the first one. He wants to use the price point of $70 plus tax and shipping to make the $200 a whole lot more affordable. Because then he goes into, our starter pack is $70 plus tax and shipping, but most of my clients choose the intermediate or value pack because of price. What do you mean because of price? The intermediate pack is $200 and gives them 4 times the product. Now, if a person does know math, 4 times 70 is 280. They already know that they're saving money. A lot of my clients also go with the value pack because for $40 more, they get 90 additional servings. Gosh, for $40 more, I can get 90 more servings? Now, he didn't say what the price is. But again, when he comes back, well, he's using a question. So which one works best for you? The greatest cost per serving or the most economical price per serving? See, one's a cost, the other's a price. And I suppose you could change that price to value, or the most economical value per serving. Does that make sense? And do I have any questions?
This is Tammy. I don't have any questions. I think it's brilliant. I think it's a good way of approaching, and when people ask, I think it's spot on.
Yeah, all I can share with you is, again, Arnold is continuing to hone his skills. And again, you can tell by the way that I went through it, I still need to hone my skills in this area. But Arnold's numbers speak for themselves. July is when he started this process of putting up YouTube videos, maybe late June. But he had 0 sales on Tracking Center 1 for July, somewhere around 1,300 CV of volume in August, and he's approaching 2,000 CV of volume for September. He had 7 sales in August, and last I checked, I'm pretty sure he's at 14 sales for the month of September. So he's doubled the number of sales. And what he's doing is, if he continues this process, just like I have preferred customers, they don't all buy at the same time because they're buying Jumbo Jar Plus ones. Like my Canadian preferred customers buy 6 or 7 canisters, and then 2 or 3 or sometimes 4 months later, I see them buy again. And so as he adds people who are taking 4 canisters or doing the Jumbo Jar Plus 1, he's setting himself up to having repeat preferred customers ordering on their own because they're getting benefits from the product, and they're in the preferred customer program. So in that preferred customer program, they can then order on their own from Synergy Worldwide, either go online or call up Synergy Worldwide, or Arnold can assist them, but he's building his client base so that as this goes on and as he adds more clients because of how he's positioning information, it's going to be really interesting to see what his numbers are 6 months from now, a full year from now, as he continues this process. It's a lot of volume that he's adding into my right-hand side. So Tammy, thank you for your comments. Anyone else have any questions or comments about this information? Well, if you don't have any questions and if you don't have any comments, that's basically what I wanted to show you tonight on our live webinar. So I only want to take this as long as we need to, because everyone's time is valuable to them. Oh,
hey Dan.
I put a because in there. Yes, David.
This documentation you're showing us on the screen, that will be available online?
Yeah, I'll get it online someplace. Maybe I'll make this into a PDF, and then I'll just put it up into the Synergy library and attach the video to it so that you guys can get it in the PDF section, the power of because and properly positioning information. This is what I'll do, David. I'll take this, I'll make it into a PDF, and then what I'll do is I may get to this tomorrow, or I'll do it on Friday, but I'll load this up onto YouTube. Once I get it onto YouTube, you can't load PDFs into Facebook, but what I learned how to do is you can show an image, you can have the link to the PDF file to it, and then I'll also have the video. So that way on our Synergy Family Facebook page, we'll give everyone this information, and then I'll put this into the Synergy library in the PDF section, and I'll most likely list it under power of because. I'll see where I'll put it alphabetically. I'm not quite sure where I'll put this alphabetically, but I'll make sure that it gets up there, and I'll make sure that we get it up there by Friday, plus Monday when I send out the regular newsletter, I'll have a link to it.
Thank you, Dan. Yeah, I'll look out for it.
You're welcome, David. Anyone else have any questions or comments for this evening?
Yeah, thanks a lot, Dan. David asked the same question that I was about to ask.
Well, then I know
So,
that David had a fantastic question because fantastic people have the same ideas, right?
thanks, but
Oh, I should have said it this way. Because
that is because we were
because fantastic people have the same ideas. That way I
yes,
can get
and
the
I know that
because in
you're
there.
going to right, and I know that you're going to put it up before Friday because you want us to succeed quickly.
That's good. That's good, Joseph.
Right.
Now I'm gosh, you triggered me. I won't even be able to sleep tonight until I get this done.
Well, you will get some sleep because you're going to work on it early, so you will
Okay.
get that sleep.
Okay, so I can work on it early tomorrow so I can sleep tonight. Thank you. That's good.
You have a good night.
You too, Joseph. And I'm glad you guys.
Good night.
Good night. Anyone else have any questions before we say good night?